Cool. Quick show of hands. How many of you have played a Facebook game? Put up your hand. How many of you have played a game on your phone? Put up your hand. How many of you played a game on your phone today? Put up your hand. How many of you have bought anything in a mobile game? Put up your hand. How many of you hold Android devices? Put up your hand. iPhone. Interesting. Great. Look, see, all your data is like showing itself in real time. It's awesome. So I'm doing this for a reason. I don't have any slides because I'm going to take like 2 minutes just to tell you guys why this skinny Asian kid is up here, even explaining anything remotely to mobile gaming in the first place. And the second thing I'll describe is a little bit more about our angle and sort of the overall ecosystem that we're trying to change, so that you understand kind of the why of what we're doing rather than just the what. And then, just really cool to see some of this type of, real-time sort of information, because one of the things that we do realize is that not a lot of people do like to spend money within mobile games, and the topic of today's panel is game commerce. So buying shit in games obviously should matter in some form or another. How many of you like mobile ads? Put up your hand. Exactly. That's the way that they're making money right now. Like, you'll have people who put in ads that sit next to the pause button. You probably have had that happen to you before, where you're like, pause, right? And you're like, just sucks, and it's annoying, and it's just like, the reason why is because they took what is essentially a 70-year-old technology, which is a billboard, and made it really, really, really tiny, and it's expected that to work, right? And clearly it's not. So we were thinking about how to solve this big, tiny problem, and it was sort of looking at dissecting every single game that I could find. I'm not a game designer. If you had a gun to my head, I couldn't design a game. But what I realized was that through the consumer perspective, I was like, okay, there's one thing that every single one of these games that seems to have in common, and that's this achievement. You can level up, you can get top scores, you can beat the boss, you can beat your lap time from last lap or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is that every single one of these games has achievements, and the fact that this achievement was there meant that it was scalable, right? So every one of these achievements, but it was less about less about the achievement itself, that you could level up or get a top score. It was more about that moment, right? And so we thought of these moments and how we could sort of do something with them, and the answer was very simple. Well, when we do something meaningful, we usually kind of expect a reward. So our business in one sentence is rewards for virtual achievements in games. So imagine leveling up and getting a free latte from the Starbucks across the street. So it's taking almost this postmodern model of helping everybody win, where the user wins because there's almost a notion of reciprocity. There's like a hand coming out of the screen and giving you something back, and not making you do anything. By the way, it's based on something that you're already doing, right? You're already playing that game. I don't want to make you do it. You already decided to. That's great. Why don't I be the cupcake sprinkles at the end and make you feel happy about it, right? Even though you're already enhancing that. And so that, and then of course the brand wins because they'll be a part of this moment when you're happy, and they can reach an audience that traditionally they've not been able to reach before. And then the game developer, of course, benefits. For the one game developer that's here in the room, is you get a rev share, and you also get this notion of retention. You actually have people who want to come and keep on playing and know the benefit of a reward being there serendipitously. Advertising is not a 30-second spot. Advertising is not a billboard. Advertising is not a banner ad. Advertising, by definition, is connecting a consumer and a brand. The way that people decided to do it was through those aforementioned things. And so the way that we wanted to rethink it, like I mentioned through the tiny, tiny billboard, was how to follow along what we already are organically doing. Like, I think happiness, if you think about it, when you look at these moments, they're really about when you're happy. So I view happiness as almost like as a natural resource, and follow along here as a metaphor. If it's a natural resource, you should mine it rather than create it. In fact, trying to manifest and man-make happiness is much more difficult and more time-consuming and costly, and in fact not as good as the natural happiness. Well, when you mine something, you have to be responsible about it. right? Because if you hit the bottom of the well too quickly or you clear out the forest, there's really no more forest to mine or chop down anymore, right? So when you look, if you're responsible and sustainable about mining happiness, then you have a long-term business and you have this ability to really delight and surprise your customers or the users that you have. So this principle, I think, applies across everything. But it all just happens to be manifested in our sort of form. There's a lot of companies that are irresponsible about this, right? You know, when we started this rewards network, the challenge was you have this whole free iPod thing, right? And you're all like, I don't trust that, because every time I saw one of those things, I had to sell my soul to get one. If you can somehow maintain that perception, or at least be able to create a better relationship with your customer without being evil, I think there's something there. And the question is how to continue to help that persist in the ecosystem. So anyways, we'll have that discussion, but thank you very much.